Welcome back. This is Benjamin Jacobs, and I'm going to do some tutorials on CorelDraw. The last one I did was a basic cloud using shapes and then welding those shapes to create a cloud. This is what we had left off with, and so it's this kind of a gray cloud with a black lining. So we're going to shade this guy. I don't know. I'm just going to call it a guy. Maybe a girl, but it's kind of hard to tell. Anyway, we got this cloud, and we're going to do some shading on it and make it have a little bit more depth to it. In the last tutorial, we've figured out to color this thing. You left-click over here. Once it's selected, obviously, you can change the color, and we're going to keep it gray. To change the the outer stroke, the black stroke, you right-click on any color, and you can kind of see what I'm doing here. We'll go back to black. So anyway, we've got this cloud, and we're going to shade it. So let's get started. I'm going to take this cloud, and I'm going to duplicate it. So to duplicate it, it's just Control-D, and then move it out of the way. I also want to take this cloud, and I don't want any fill in it. So I'm going to left-click on this X on the top. So now I have this black outline, this black stroke of 6 points, which is custom. And I'm just going to set it to the side. I'll be back for you later. So we'll concentrate on this guy right here. Once I have this, I'm going to leave him, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke. I'm going to right-click, and I just have this gray cloud. Now I'm going to copy this thing. I'm going to go Control-C, Control-V. I made it an exact copy that's sitting right on top of it. It looked like I did nothing, but I did something. The way to tell is kind of move. This is one of the ways to tell. You can kind of just select one of the clouds and move it out of the way. I want to bring that back to where it was, so I'm going to hit Control-Z, and that kind of just says, forget what I just did and bring me back to where I was. So I've got this gray cloud on top of a gray cloud. I'm going to change this color to black. Now I'm going to make another exact copy of this, but actually I'm going to duplicate this time. So I'm going to go Control-D. Now I've got a black on gray. I've got three things going on right in this section. It's hard to tell between this black one and this black one, so I'm going to take the top black one and make it a different color. Something super, ridiculous, like red. It's just a contrast. Now I can see the black underneath. There's a kind of a bevel thing going on, and I kind of like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna punch this color out of the black. I'm gonna trim it basically. So I want to select this red by clicking on it. Then I'm gonna hold down the Shift key and then hit the black cloud behind it. Now I'm gonna go to, instead of the weld tool that we used in the last tutorial, I'm gonna hit the trim tool. So click trim. If you don't see this thing up here, you can go up to arrange, shaping, and then you'll see trim. Okay, but I like it up here. So let's get back. Select the red, hit Shift, select the black while holding down the Shift key, and then I can go up here and hit trim. Once I hit trim, it does something. It looked like it did a little bit something different. What it did, it trimmed the black away. So I moved the red. I don't even need this red anymore per se, but we'll just keep it just because he's cool. We've got this gray cloud, and we've got this black kind of underline type of thing. It's real kind of crude and stuff, but this is illustration, and we want it not so precise. We want it a little bit, at least for this particular thing, we want it a little bit rough around the edges. So there you have it. We've got the black down there. It's a little bit harsh, but we did it so we can kind of have some contrast and see what we're doing when we're working. So if I go over here and make it a gray, you can see that, oh, I've got a little bit of a bevel that, and that's kind of one way to do it. There's a zillion ways to do this, but this is kind of how I do it. In real world, I'm doing this in seconds. So anyway, so I've got that. I've got this other cloud, and then I've got this red cloud over here, and I got this outline. I can take this outline and just move it over here into position, and I kind of got that going. I'm going to hit Control-Z, 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 and go back to where I was. The reason why, if I move it over here, you can kind of see that it's going over that cloud, but it's not going over that other gray cloud. So I want to bring that to the top. To do that, I hit Shift and Page Up, and that brings that thing to the very most top of the layers. So Now I can move it into position, and I have my outline, and I've got this silver cloud, then I got this dark gray kind of underlining. That's pretty cool in and of itself. I mean, you could probably live with that. You know, I mean, you got some chunking thing over here that may not work for you. You can always just zoom in, select these things right here. They're called nodes, and then move them wherever you want, and just really, make it perfect and spend your life doing that. But for what it is, it works for me. So that being said, we've got kind of three colors going on that gives you a little bit of depth. That's pretty neat. We're gonna add a little bit more detail to this. Take it or leave it. You could stop here and call it a day. I'm gonna go a little bit farther because I'm an overachiever. So I'm gonna grab the ellipse tool again. I'm not gonna do the whole mess, but I'm just gonna show you really quickly what you could do. You could take and make a oval, and then make it white. Get rid of that outline, and I've got this white circle in there. That's kind of interesting, but what makes it more interesting if you were to make that gradient? What if you could make it lighter on the top and darker on the bottom? To do that, you could go out to your flyout menu down here and find this thing that looks like a wine glass, and that's called the interactive transparency tool. Kind of a mouthful, but I use it a lot. I like to click on that, and then I click anywhere on the page and drag, and then you get these handles. You get these interactive transparency handles, and just quickly I created this gradient, lighter to nothing. I could draw more circles and do the same thing, or I can just take the same circle or oval and duplicate it, and then resize it, and then put it into other positions. And you can kind of see where I'm going with this. I can then duplicate this, put it into another position, duplicate this, put it into another position, and you can kind of see that I'm getting some cool highlights. I think they're cool. Pretty quickly and easily. If you were to kind of have to draw all this, you'd be here for days, and you'd be wasting your life. But this way, you can kind of actually get something done really quickly and impress your boss and the ladies. No, you can impress people with your skill. So anyway, that's kind of if you look at it, it's got some depth to it. It's got some shine to it. The more highlights you put in, the more authentic you can make things. If you wanted to make it look plastic or metal or whatever. So just in a nutshell, that was kind of how I create clouds. Hope you enjoyed this. Talk to you later.